Hey guys, T2RX6 here, back for another Transformers review, and today we're going to be taking a look at the only Dark of the Moon toy that I felt myself really wanting, and that is Shockwave. And he is awesome, and really, his light piping is just spectacular. I mean, it doesn't take much light at all to make him look like he's got an LED in his eye. It's awesome. I find myself just having him sit there downstairs and, totally looks like, like there's an LED in it and he's just in minimal lighting. So they really did a fantastic job with the light piping. Yeah, he's really nice. I like him. I think he's cool. He's a nice lighter purple, very close to what you would see if you watched a G1 cartoon. The box shows a more of a dark purple though, but that's okay. He's also got this rubber hose just like the G1 had, and it plugs into this backpack, which out of the box is actually mistransformed. Mine was kind of like this, and there's actually like tabs, well, the tabs here and the slot on this little piece, so if you rotate them in, it will actually peg into place. Of course, it's going to be difficult because it's on camera. But yeah, you just plug them in and everything sits in place. Now, he has pretty decent articulation. His head's on a ball joint, and due to the transformation, whoops, I flipped this out. Due to this transformation, you can kind of get a little up down, but not a whole bunch. It's mostly just the left and right. Actually, it's not a ball joint, I'm sorry, it's just a regular like T rotation thing. The arm, you got the upper arm, you got the top here, which is mostly for transformation, swivel, elbow, and hand. And he does have two hands, but one of them you can fold in if you want to make him look more G1, or you can have him look pretty beastly with two hands holding his weapon. I like having the one folded in though. He comes with this sword thingy. Good legs here. They're on the ratchets, so they're a little tighter. But you get a nice full range of motion. Knee, he has the upper thigh swivel, no lower swivel, and then the foot will rotate, but that's mostly due to the transformation. So, the biggest problem I have with him is going to be the posability you can get, and it's mostly hampered by this rubber piece here, because it clips right into a little socket on the back, and then the weapon has this gray clip that swivels around. And depending on how you want to pose him, well, you could leave this rubber piece off, but just doesn't feel like Shockwave without it. Depending on how you want to pose him, you kind of have to play around with where the hose is. If you want him to be like that, you kind of have to put it at the bottom. If you want some kind of blasting, you have to activate his mech tech a little, slip it through, and rotate it down. And then you can pose him a little bit more different. But you can see if I leave it like that, and I try to spring his hand in, it actually will move itself back just because of the rubber. So depending on how you want to do it, you have to kind of fiddle with the hose a little when you're trying to pose him, but it's really not too big of a deal. So yeah, that's pretty decent. He's got heel spurs back here that I keep knocking over because I'm moving him around too quick. Now his mech tech, I have Megatron just because I like the idea of the truck, and I have Ratchet because I needed him for a custom. So this is my third mech tech weapon, and of them, it's my favorite. It's a little bit loose though, in terms of when it's just hanging there, but it's okay. Let me take it off his arm here, just to show it a little bit better. And what you end up having, put that to the side, is this nice blaster, and we can take the hose off just like that, a single blaster, and then when you push it, the two cannon barrels flip out, and you can push the gray piece all the way up and lock it in the thing, and it'll actually stay out. And I think that looks pretty darn cool when you do that, especially when it's on Shockwave still. So let's just do that again. We'll put this right on, and I'll plug this back in. Whoops. Usually you have to flip up this back panel if you want to actually plug it into the socket down here. And this socket is rotatable too, just so you can position it around. So if you want it between the backpack, you can do it that way too. But I found it works best when it's down. So plug everything all back in here. And yeah, you can have Shockwave with pretty massive armament there. And I just like how that looks. I think it looks great. Now, he does have a MechTech port on this arm here too. But this weapon actually won't fit properly on this arm because... Let me move this light here. I'm in some horrible lighting. Now it's stuck on his arm. So, if you look at the weapon, there's actually a little tab as well as the peg. And on his arm, he's got the hole and the slot for the tab. This one doesn't have it. He's got the MechTech port and a 3mm clip. So you can kind of put it on, but it doesn't really sit properly. It just kind of very loosely sits on there. So yeah, it's not something I think is really meant to be doing. You can, of course, put the blade on the other hand if you want. But really, the cannon is designed so it's going on this arm, and that's pretty much where it's supposed to sit. Now, let me just put him back together here. And I know people have wanted to see him next to the Voyager Megatron, and I have him sitting here. I really like how the two of them actually look together. And anytime I can get this backpack clipped in. As you can tell, that's probably the most annoying part about this figure. Alright. Whoops. See, there's the hose holding me up from what I wanted to display him like. Okay. So here is Shockwave. And here is my Voyager Megatron. As you can see, Megatron is just ever so slightly taller than Shockwave, but that really works. And being that they're both very, very Cybertronian Decepticons, I really like how these two guys look together. I'll show him in vehicle mode also with Shockwave, but I'm gonna have to cut for that because I don't remember how to transform him offhand. But let's do Shockwave's transformation. So the first thing we'll do is take off this MechTech stuff. And, well, we can leave that one. We'll fold his fists up like this, so they both look like that, and flip his head around to the back. Now, the feet, I really like how these transform. You're going to take his heel spur, you're going to flip it on in, then go back to the front, and fold this knee pad down on both sides. And then you're going to fold the foot actually up. And it's going to take a little force to get in there because there's some pegs. So just fold it on up, peg it into place, and it should be a solid piece. Finally, just turn them so they're in like this. And he's actually got a little bit of a Rodimus Prime transformation going on, but we'll get there after. Now take his front chest piece and unpeg it from the front. Just leave it like that. And then take his whole head assembly and rotate it out. Now, unclip this backpack piece and fold it on down like this. And then just bring it up so it covers his eye. And then rotate that flush. And then what we can do from here, let me just make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah, I'm doing this right. Take this, rotate it 360. Am I doing this right? Yeah, I'm doing this right. Sorry, guys. Okay, yeah. So rotate this 360 and just leave it like that. So he's got something hanging off his rear. And then take his arms, pull them apart like this, and it's got this strange joint here that you're gonna kind of lift up and rotate out. I'm not sure if you can see that too much. You lift it so this is free on the angle, and then rotate it out. Now, once he's like this, you pretty much have them in place. You'll see on these black, the arm assemblies, you can see the peg. Line them up so they peg up with the pegs on his chest hole, or his chest plate, and they'll go right in that hole. And then that should lock in something like that. Just rotate his arms, just get them out of the way for now. Now bring this piece up right so it's in front of his crotch and looking a little inappropriate. And then what you're going to do from here, this is why I said he has kind of a Rodimus thing. You can rotate these out of the way for now. Take his legs that you folded and rotate them in. And this is a little bit tough to do, and it's tough on Rodimus too. You gotta kind of force it so it's like this, and then you're gonna force it so it clicks one notch in. And then that should put it nice and flush. And this is probably the hardest part. Now, the part that came through here that we pegged the backpack into, we're going to use those tabs to tab in the legs that we folded forward. And they should tab right in and in between. And then when we look at it from the bottom, everything should be pretty well lined up with that. So, as you can see, the tab is a little sticking out there. Just tab it on in, squeeze it together, and you got the front. Now, the back is super easy. What we're going to do is take these leg parts we rotated. There's a tab and a slot. Just tab them on in on both sides, like that. And now, the final part, just bring his shoulders up and over the top. You're going to see there's a slot here for a tab, and then this piece here is going to match the round joint there. And just fold it forward, and you should be able to push it in position and make it actually stick. And you can see it doesn't lock into place like terribly well, but enough that it's not going to just pop out. And you'll know when it pegs in. You can see he's not going anywhere. I'm holding him by it. Again, do that for the other side. Mostly this part that's locking it in place, that just sits there. And then from there, what the instructions tell you to do is to plug the pipe into here, but it is difficult. It's too thick. I can't get it in there. And frankly, I think it would look silly there anyway. So what we're going to do, take your MechTech and just drop it to the side like this again. Plug your MechTech in on top. And then you have a couple ports on the side. You can choose this one, which I don't like that one. I prefer this back port to plug it in. And that's what you end up with a final result. Just to show you, Hasbro's instructions tell you that you should do something like this. And it's not going to look 100% right, but this is what they tell you to. And I really don't like how that looks anyway. So just feed it to the side and plug it into the back of the tank. And I think that's what looks best. And there you have Shockwave in his tank form. And it's very Cybertronian. You know, he's got these strange front wheels here. And actually, they need to sit in properly too. There's tabs underneath to make them sit at the right location. Sorry about that. But yeah, what you end up having here is two back wheels and then these two front wheels. These are not functional at all. And he does roll a little, not very well, but I don't expect my tank formers to. Yeah, so it's a pretty nice Cybertronian tank if you're into these Cybertronian type vehicles. The MechTech I think looks really good here. You can still pop it out, you can still lock it in place, and now you've got a tank with a ridiculous amount of weapons. And the sword looks a little bit like it could be a blaster or something too, so it's pretty cool. One thing I forgot to mention is his hands actually can hold the weapons in them. He's got the peg hole for this, but he looks a little bit weird doing it. It's better when it's on the side. So let me take this time to figure out how to get Megatron into his tank mode, and then we can look at them both together. Okay, so here he is with the Megatron in tank mode, and I think they look pretty cool together, both in their Cybertronian modes. One thing that occurred to me that didn't occur to me until I was transforming him, one criticism Megatron always has is his face is always, you know, looking at you in robot mode. And actually, when you look at Shockwave's, his face is right here too. It's a little more covered up like a battle mask, but he's still got the openings on the side. So kind of looks like he's looking at you too. So maybe it's a Cybertronian tank thing that they all look at you. You know, the Decepticons all look when they're in their modes. But yeah, that is the comparison. You can see that Megatron is, you know, quite substantially thicker than Shockwave. But overall about the same length, maybe a little bit longer due to Megatron's little gimpy hand here. But they look cool together, and they are definitely a cool set to own. And the new Megatron, he's a little bit of a disappointment comparatively. I like this one a lot better. Mostly because the truck is like in scale with like the Scout size cars, and that kind of bugs me a little bit. So I really like the combination of them, these two together. And of all the Dark of the Moon stuff I've seen, Shockwave is just amazing, and I'm probably going to pass on most of the deluxes. So I might pick up the Scouts just because they're a cheap price point. But I couldn't pass up Shockwave, and I'm glad I didn't because I really like them. So this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. I will see you next time.